ZPF started as a Kickstarter for a new horizontal shooter game on the Sega Mega Drive. After its release towards the end of 2025, it recently got a Steam release, which is the version I played. Gryzor is listed as artist and creator on ZPF, who is also the creator of Super XYX, which I absolutely adore, so I had really high hopes going into this game. Let's have a look at the run. Jumping right in with the Gladius ship on the first stage. Oh, did you just see that? That was my melee attack. That weird bubble around my ship. That was the completely useless melee attack of the ship. So every ship has a shot, a melee attack and a bomb. And this ship has a spread shot, which is super handy, but its melee attack is completely useless compared to the other ships. Anyway, the thing that really stands out here when you look at this is the bold use of colors, the visual style. It's quite unlike anything else on the Mega Drive, but it does feel very similar-ish in a sense to some of the stuff in Super XYX, which makes sense because Gryzor worked on both of them as artist. Now in some stages the bold color use can obscure bullet visibility somewhat. I didn't find it too bad, to be honest. And I know especially this stage some people find not the prettiest one. But overall, I really like its distinct style. In general, I really appreciate it when the art style tries to do something different. Now, what I'm less a fan of is all these weird screen transitions from one part of the stage to another. It feels more like disjoint sections that are made by different people, copy-pasted together. They tend to break up the action, because it's quite common that either before or after there's a bit of dead time with no enemies. And when you compare that to other games I've played on the Mega Drive, say the Thunder Force series or Lords of Thunder is also a good example, although that's technically the Mega CD or whatever, is that they do dynamic natural transitions. So we just came out of a cave, so those games would actually have you fly out of the cave. And it could be that the screen starts scrolling diagonally or vertical to somehow make it make sense that you were in a cave and now you are no longer in the cave. Unfortunately, this game just scrolls to the right. There's no variation in that sense. Closing in on one of the enemies I had quite a bit of trouble with initially. This one. You can, with another ship, you can try and kill it by melee attacking it still. But I use this safe strat, which is pretty easy and very consistent. You just need to be careful for that wave attack that originates from it still. Alright, we got the key. And it's boss time now. Yeah, this boss is my least favorite one in terms of style and mechanics. I mean, it's very simple. And it's a complete pushover. Yeah, so the key. So this game has 7 stages. Initially 3 are unlocked. And they are grouped in pairs. So the first 2 stages are the fantasy stages. The next 2 stages are the metal stages. And then the 5th and 6th stage are the alien themed stages. And once you complete all of those, the final stage unlocks. So if you make it to roughly the end of a stage without dying, this bird will spawn, and if you shoot it, you'll get a key. If you get both keys in the stages corresponding to the same theme, so you get both keys in the first 2 stages, or in the 3rd and 4th or 5th and 6th, you immediately be transported to the secret boss that you will fight, and then you immediately after that go to the regular boss. Can we just appreciate the music here, by the way? It's so good. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so there are 3 ships to choose from, and each ship also corresponds to one of the stage themes. So, Night, you see it in the picture on the left of the screen, by the way, that's Night. Corresponds to Fantasy theme, which is this stage and the previous stage. Gladius that I'm playing corresponds to the Alien theme stages, so by the 5th and 6th stage. And then you have Gold, which corresponds to the Metal or Future theme, which are stages 3 and 4. So if you use, say, the correct ship on the corresponding levels to get the keys, then you will unlock the true ending or the best ending or whatever. And you'll get 100% completion rate. However, you can just, as I'm showing here, you can just use whatever ship to get these keys and still fight the secret bosses. And the only penalty is you lose out on the 100% completion rate score bonus and you don't get the best possible ending. And because ships are somewhat tied to levels, is probably why the game allows you to select a different ship at the start of every stage. I would have expected that if you used the correct ship to fight all the secret bosses, you would also unlock some true lost boss or whatever, but that's not the case. So in this run, I managed to get to 2 secret bosses, but I screwed up somewhere. So here's the first secret boss, and then I died. So this is actually the first time I'm fighting this boss with this ship, and also the first time I've seen this boss actually do an attack. Because with any other ship, you would have killed the boss in a mere like 1-2 seconds, just by spamming melee attacks. But Gladius doesn't have a proper melee attack, so I couldn't do that. I should have just bombed, but I bombed too late. Because bosses are insanely weak against bomb, so I just bombed here and the fight is over. Now if you finish any 2 stages, you will be transported to the bonus stage. Nothing can kill you or hit you here, and the whole point is grabbing as many medals as you can And if you're going for a scoring run, you need to collect the cards, which we will see in a bit. So once cards spawn, you can shoot them, and then they will change from like, you know, queen, king, ace, whatever. And then you need to collect them when they turn into an ace card, because then they're worth the most points. But I'm only concerned about getting a lot of medals. We maxed out our medal counter, but it does count further. So I do have more than 1,000 medals. It just shows 999 as the max number. So before every stage you go to a shop where you can spend those medals. And the shop system is what makes the game too easy. What you see me buy here are the upgrades medals times 2. So you get twice as many medals the next level. I buy enemy shotdown, which reduces the bullet count and density that enemies shoot. And I bought alive. So other things you can buy are score times 2, weapon and melee attack power-ups, continue, and hints. I really don't understand the hints. Like, why would you wanna buy those? Oh yeah, and there's one option on the top left, which is cash out. So convert all your excess medals into points. And the problem with that option is that by default it's the one that's selected. And by default the shop has what they call a shop zipper. So a zipper opens up to show the shop underneath. I've actually disabled that with an option in the menu, but by default that is enabled. And so what happens is then you see the zipper slowly opening, revealing the shop, but the shop is already active at that point. And so if you just get kind of impatient, as I always do, so I start just hitting random buttons, you actually cash out. And all your medals are gone before you realize what you did. It's such a stupid design thing. And what's even worse is I've disabled the zipper, but that setting is not stored. Like, none of the settings in-game are stored. I understood that the Mega Drive cartridge, they didn't want to put in a battery to do that, but this is the PC version. I don't understand why the settings are not stored. Yeah, this was a really bad fight. Not gonna get a key. Yeah, when you die, you lose 20% of your medals. Yeah, another boss that has trivial attack patterns. And again, if you would have another ship with a decent melee attack, you would have just stayed in its face and killed it almost instantly. So the other two ships you can choose from are Knight and Gold. Knight corresponding to Fancy Theme, which has a very powerful straightforward shot and a very good melee attack. And then Gold also has a straight shot, but it's weaker than Knight's. At least it feels that way. And its melee attack is kind of awkward because it's a whip. So you have this kind of weird energy whip. Yeah, I really dislike that ship. But I would say this ship makes the levels by far the easiest, though the other ships are way better for boss fights. Yeah, both your weapon, your shot and melee attack can be upgraded 3 times. You can buy these upgrades in the shop, but for your shot upgrades, you can just collect power-up icons during the stages themselves, which again is a bit of a bizarre decision to only allow you to upgrade your melee attack in the shop. And so when you die, you lose 2 levels of power on both your shot and melee attack. But I would say upgrading melee is really not needed. Yeah, this is one of the few bosses that you can't fully cheese with melee attacks. Because it has different phases, and some of the phases you can't get in close enough without getting hit. But I would say this is one of the more interesting boss fights of the game. Now the bulk of the game's enemies will fire aimed spread shots at you. And yeah, if you buy the enemy shutdown upgrade in the shop, these spreads will have quite wide gaps. But I'm still always very hesitant to fly through those gaps, because I really don't trust the hitbox of my ship. So I mainly macro dodge, just go around everything. Unless I really have to go through a pattern, but I'd rather not. What I do really appreciate about this game is it doesn't have speed power-ups or speed power-downs. And I think the default ship speed is actually pretty good. I know some people complained, not really complained, but I would have preferred an option to slow down your ship. Likely to be able to go through dense patterns. But yeah, I quite like the default ship speed. Overall, like, shooting feels very good. You know, your shots have impact and weight. Yeah, really no concerns in that department. Music is great, visuals are great. It's just that the stages themselves are kind of bland, to be honest. Yeah, they're really missing a bit of like spice. Because a lot of enemy placement is very, say, traditional and basic, as in like, oh, this type of enemy spawns at the top, now it spawns at the bottom, and now it spawns in the middle. And there are just no cool set pieces in the levels themselves. And then the boss, well, I already said enough about the boss fight. They're really disappointing. Yeah, so if you want to go for survival, always buy medals ×2 and enemy shutdown. And if you have enough medals left, just buy 1-up. So even though all the levels have a lot of parallax scrolling, I think this stage in particular, not this section, but the section we're just in, and that will be in again like a bit further, the scrolling is really bizarre. In the sense that you have these random strips of the screen scrolling at different speeds, and some of them scroll forward and some of them scroll backward. Yeah, like here you really have, yeah, like here, like the middle part. Like you can see this whole stage looks kind of weird to me. It's also the most empty stage in terms of like enemy counts. Music is good though. I haven't really said much about scoring, but the scoring system here is very basic. In the shop you always buy medals ×2 and score ×2, and then whatever medals you've left you cash in, so convert to points, and then you try to melee as many enemies as you can, because melee kills give you slightly more points. And then during the bonus stage you want to grab as many of these cards, first trying to get them to an ace and then pick them up. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, so the scoring, I don't really bother with it in this game. But for me, I also don't really see it as a complaint of this game, because thinking back on Mega Drive and PC Engine shooters I've played so far, all of their scoring systems were either completely non-existent or extremely basic. But still, it would have been something the game could differentiate itself from others. Yeah, I do remember like a while ago when I played Devil Blade Reboot, which is obviously like modern game in terms of technology use, etc. But that has like a fantastic scoring system, I feel, that really rewards you getting like up close and personal, and I really clicked with that system and really engaged with it, which made the game for me a lot better. So yeah, after that, any game I played that doesn't really pull me in with such like scoring hook is a bit of a letdown. So this Steam version is essentially a small wrapper of an emulator around the Mega Drive ROM. And it's extremely bare bones and not well done. So you see at the bottom of the screen that there's like a sub menu, which is the emulator menu. But it doesn't work very well, as in some options, like for example the background image on the left and right of the screen. There are a few choices that you can select between, But when you go to that menu and try to do that, the menu is all white with light gray whitish text, so it's very small, almost impossible to read, and then it doesn't save that option. It's very common for this game. Like even emulator options are not saved. Well, some are, but some are not. Yeah, the game, like in-game, has leaderboards, but obviously those are not saved. Yeah, maybe another thing that was quite a bit of a disappointment to me. I know that the Mega Drive version came with an actual manual, so I was expecting the Steam version to also have a manual. Either, you know, a digitalized version of it, or it can just be somewhere in the emulator menu where you can view it. But no, there's no manual. Yeah, I find these two alien theme stages to be the easiest in the game. They're quite chill to play through. Yeah, so here I just hover above the damage point and then all my shots hit, all my spread shots. And yeah, it did one attack. It's such a shame, and that boss looks so awesome, and then it's such a wasted potential. Now this is the actual end of stage boss. I'm using a bomb. And it's gone. So now we cleared the 6 initial stages, and then the final 7th stage unlocks. Oh yeah, this statue that you just saw, that was on the bottom left and right, there's like a male and a female holding up the thing. So the Steam version is censored in the sense that his nipples are still visible, but her nipples have been erased, essentially, or smudged. Which I find hilarious. Now this stage is actually pretty tricky, especially if you've never played it before. There's a whole bunch of gotcha moments. Yeah, especially that enemy with these white blades coming out. Yeah, I went the wrong way now. Yeah, there's also a set of like a stream of spheres that enter the screen from the left, so behind, at insanely high speed, which usually kills me. But I didn't get those enemies this time. Maybe it's because it's the first time I get here with Gladius, that all the timing on when I kill enemies is completely different when I use Knight, which is the ship I typically use. Yeah, like those spheres just now. Like I distinctly remember getting clipped multiple times when that stream just showed up from the left. because quite some levels have a one-up item to collect, and you can buy them in the shop, which I did. I have so many lives that, you know, I played pretty badly here, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, what to say? Awesome dragon. One bomb and it's gone. Yeah, so here you'd think you've cleared the game, but there's actually one boss after this, which to me looks like the true lost boss. And I would have expected that you only get to fight that boss if you have all the keys and use the correct ship to get those keys. But apparently none of that matters. I don't have all the keys. I used Gladius for everything. And then I still get to fight this truly awesome final boss. Like, this is the only boss in this game that is like truly awesome. It looks absolutely insane. And compared to all the other bosses, it's not a complete pushover. It has some really nasty attacks, like this one with the rocks. What were they smoking when they came up with this boss? Yeah, I still have a ton of lives and bombs, so it's almost impossible not to beat it now. Yes, overall I feel this game is mostly wasted potential. It has such a great distinct visual style with fantastic music. It plays really well. So I just wanted to like it, but I don't really like it. The gameplay loop is just not rewarding enough for repeated playthroughs. Besides maybe wanting to get the good or best ending after defeating all the secret bosses with correct shit, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. It's also interesting that Earthrealm was another recently released shoot 'em up for the Mega Drive. It is on my short list of games to play, and I hope to get to it soon. It will be interesting to compare that game to this one, though of the footage I've seen so far of Earthrealm, that looks to be the better game. But I guess that will be a video for another time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you later.